Today's story kicks off in a regular supermarket. There's this guy standing in line, buying a few things for the house while arguing with his wife over the phone. You can tell the conversation's not going well. She's basically blaming him for everything. She says he's been spending all their money on fun and outings, while he's trying to explain that he's been away for work, not on vacation. He keeps saying he wasn't doing anything for himself, just finishing some job stuff, but she's not having it. She's also mad because they're broke now and can't even afford the vacation they'd been planning. Eventually, the guy gives up, hangs up the phone, and gets in line to pay for his stuff. At the same time, there's this other guy at the counter who's clearly struggling. He doesn't have enough money to pay for the things he picked out, and he starts arguing with the cashier. He even turns to the people in line, asking if someone can help him out. When no one does, he throws in a dramatic reminder, something like, "One day we'll all be judged for our actions, and you'll wish you helped someone." But still, no one budges. In fact, some people just leave the store altogether to avoid the scene. The guy who seems to catch his attention the most is our main character, the one who was on the phone earlier, probably because he looks well off, like someone who could easily help. The man tries to approach him, but there's a woman standing between them, so he can't quite reach. Just then, an older lady steps up and gives the struggling man 50 pounds, saying she just wants to help. His face lights up with joy, and he finally pays for his stuff. But here's the weird part. Before he leaves, he turns to the young guy behind him, our main character, and hands him a coin. He tells him to hold on to it and remember this moment. Then he walks off. Now it's our guy's turn to pay. He checks out, walks to his car, loads his groceries, and calls his wife again, still trying to make peace. He tells her there's nothing going on with that female coworker she's jealous of, and that during his whole trip, they barely spoke. While he's on the phone, he notices that same man, the one from the store, sitting nearby, just watching him. He walks over, gives the coin back, and says he doesn't want to take anything that's not his. But then the man suddenly snaps at him and asks, "Are you scared of hell? Do you even believe God exists?" The young guy, calm as ever, says he doesn't believe in anything at all. He lives by facts, logic, and what he can see, nothing more. Then he turns around and walks back to his car. But the man follows him. He starts pressing him with more questions. What do you believe in? Why are you even alive if you don't believe in anything? The guy tries to brush him off, but the man just keeps going, telling him that no matter how smart or rich someone is, in the end, we all end up in the ground. Worms eat our bodies, and it's over. Then he starts talking about heaven, the afterlife, and how life is just a short journey, a test, really, and what we do here shapes what comes after. The young guy's clearly thrown off. Like, how does a homeless man know all this? Is he for real or just out of his mind? He starts getting annoyed and says, loudly, that he's a respected mathematician. His whole life is based on logic. There's no way he's going to start thinking like that. So he asks the man, where's the proof that God even exists? The man, completely unfazed, says there's plenty of proof, but none of it matters if someone's heart is already closed. He tells the guy he can tell just by looking at him. His heart's dead inside. That hits a nerve. The young man fires back. How would you know anything about me? We've never even met. But then the man smiles and says, oh, we've met. More than once actually. Now the guy's just confused. He swears he's never seen him before. Thinks this dude is totally delusional. But the man says something even weirder. We met maybe 100, 200 years ago. Doesn't matter. We definitely met. Now the guy's convinced. This man is completely insane. He tries to leave and tells him to go find a hobby or something because clearly this man's just had too much free time. But suddenly, the man snaps. He lunges at him, trying to choke him, shouting that something terrible is coming and he needs to wake up before it's too late. Then, just as suddenly, he breaks down crying, full-on hysterical sobbing. It throws the guy off completely. He actually starts to feel bad, walks over, and tries to comfort him. He asks, why are you so affected by me? What's your deal? The man tells him he's still young, he's got his whole life ahead of him, and he shouldn't waste it on emptiness. Then, right in the middle of that moment, the guy's wife calls again, yelling at him for being late. He tells her he'll explain everything soon and hangs up. When he turns back, the man is sitting calmly now, reading the newspaper, completely different vibe. So the young guy sits down and tries to help him out. He gives him some advice, like, you should try to find a job, do something to get back on your feet instead of begging. But the man shifts the topic right back to faith. He tells him that God is always there, never abandons anyone, and starts sharing all these bizarre dreams and visions he's had, stuff that sounds totally out there. He says he came to this world with a purpose and a message, and that's why he's still here. And little by little, he starts trying to convince the young man to reconsider everything, because life, as he puts it, isn't going to give you much in the end, but the afterlife. That's where the real story begins. The more the man talks, the more the young guy becomes convinced. This guy must be crazy. Nothing he says is making sense, and those strange stories? Not helping. But the man insists that believing in God isn't just something he chooses to do. It's a fact, a truth, something something everyone should already know deep down. The young man tells him he wants to believe, he really does, but he needs proof. Something solid, something real. The man tells him, just think about your life. Look at every decision you've made, every path you've taken, and if you're honest with yourself, you'll see the truth in what I'm saying. Eventually, since it's getting late, the guy decides it's time to leave. He says goodbye, heads back to his car, but not even a minute later, he comes walking back. He looks at the man and says, okay, if you really know everything like you say, how many fingers am I holding up behind my back? The man chuckles and replies calmly, look, I'm close to God, not some magician. I'm not here to guess what's behind your back. And somehow, that simple, logical response hits the young man hard. He nods, gets out of the car again, and this time, he's not mocking, he's curious. He wants to understand. He admits that he truly wants to believe in something, anything, but he just can't wrap his head around it. He begs for a sign, a real, clear sign that proves God exists. The two get into a deep back and forth, each one trying to convince the other. What's strange is, this supposedly crazy man seems to know a lot. Not just general stuff, but deep religious teachings, philosophies, and historical stories. He speaks with conviction, like someone who's lived through it all. And even though the young man keeps telling himself not to believe him, a small part of him actually does. The old man starts telling him about Jesus, about heaven and hell, and how life here is just a test for something greater. He shares religious stories from thousands of years ago, maybe even longer, and the young man just can't tell anymore. Is any of this real, or is it just some clever fantasy this man's invented? Desperate for the truth, the young guy finally offers him a huge amount of money, just to be honest with him. Tell me the truth, he says, not just what I want to hear. The man smiles and says, sure, I could take the money and say whatever will make you feel better, but you don't need comfort, you need truth. And just when you think things can't get any weirder, the man drops a bombshell. He's been alive for nearly 2,000 years. He doesn't age. He's been serving the church for over a century, dedicating his life entirely to faith. That's why he knows so much. He's lived through it. Now the young man doesn't know what to think. Part of him actually believes it. But the man continues talking, and it's clear his long life hasn't been easy. He says immortality isn't the gift people think it is. After living for so long, he's forgotten most of what he's done, where he's worked, who he's been. Every day is a struggle just to find food and shelter. And over the centuries, everyone he's gotten close to has either died or left. So now, he avoids attachments altogether. All he wants now is for the world to finally end, or to finally move on to the next stage of his existence. He's tired of watching time pass, people come and go, and still being stuck here. The young man is shocked. He realizes that no one's truly happy. Not the people who live short lives, and apparently, not even the ones who live too long. The man tells him people have tried to kill him many times over the centuries. Every single time, they've failed. In fact, the ones who tried, they ended up dying instead. He says at one point, he got so hopeless, he tried to end his own life. He hung himself from a tree and was left there for 2 whole weeks until the branch broke. But he was still alive. Then in 1945, he was captured by the Nazis. He even tried shooting himself while in captivity, but the gun exploded in his hands, leaving a giant scar that's still there to this day. After that, he escaped, barely, made it across Russia into Poland, and eventually ended up here, where he's been living for over 40 years. At this point, the young guy just stares at him. If someone saw you walking down the street, they wouldn't even guess you're over 30. Then, almost without thinking, the young man hands him some cash. The man takes it without a fuss, and now the young guy is torn. Was everything this man said real? Or was it just a crazy story designed to get some sympathy and maybe a few bills? He starts looking around, wondering if he's being pranked. Maybe this is some hidden camera thing. But the man tells him, I never forced you to listen. You came back on your own. Then he adds, you know who really sounds insane? The person running around telling people they're immortal, screaming in the streets. That's not me. I've stayed quiet for centuries until you asked. But this guy, he wasn't like the others. He wasn't joking around or pretending. He was way too calm for that. Everything he said, he truly believed it. He kept all his secrets to himself, only sharing them with someone he knew would actually listen and maybe believe him. And to back up his story, he even showed scars and marks all over his body, clear signs of everything he'd been through. But the younger guy still wasn't fully buying it. So the older man goes, if I shot you right now, you really wouldn't die? The guy just stares at him like, you want to find out? But instead of trying something drastic, the young man decides to listen to more of his stories, hoping to catch him slipping or find something that doesn't add up. Then the older guy starts telling him how he knows all these ancient languages, ones that don't even exist anymore. And he never stayed in one place too long because, well, when your face never ages, people start asking questions. But even after all that, the young man keeps digging, trying to find anything that might prove the guy's insane. Then the topic shifts. The younger guy brings up space, aliens, other planets. And the older man casually admits he he's seen a lot out there in the universe, but never an alien face-to-face. Still, he believes they're out there. The younger guy is honestly stunned. Like, how can a homeless man know this much about everything? And the old guy just says, well, I've had thousands of years and nothing but free time. I've read everything. Every time he tried to walk away, the young man would follow him, asking more, especially about religion. And the old man explains that after living for 2,000 years, seeing everything and everyone come and go, he's sure of one thing. This life? It's temporary. What really matters is what comes after. He says heaven, that eternal life, is the one we should be preparing for. That's the reward for the good we do now. And all those old historical portraits? He says they're way off. He met those people. They looked nothing like the statues and paintings we see today. The young guy asks, but don't you have anything to prove it? A keepsake, an object, anything? And the man just shakes his head. Then he describes how people lived 1,000 years ago, how life was so much simpler, and how most people actually believed in God. They believed the earth was flat, that stars and planets had life, and they were constantly trying to reach them, without any of the tech we have today. And according to him, humans have always been the same. The faces and tech may change, but deep down, people stay the same. What separates us is culture and how far tech has come. That's it. He says everyone has a path written for them. Even if we feel like we're making choices, in the end, we just walk right into the destiny that was always waiting. And yeah, we can choose to switch paths, to fix our lives if we really want to. But ultimately, everything is connected and everything is seen by the one above. Then the younger guy brings up extremists. He asks, what kind of person kills someone just because they don't believe in God? The old man replies, those are a tiny, loud minority. You can't judge faith by them. There are millions of peaceful believers who spread kindness, not hate. Right then, the young guy's phone rings. It's his wife. She's upset because he's been gone for hours. And when he tells her he's just talking to a stranger on the street, she assumes it's some woman and gets even more annoyed. She says she's coming to find him. The old man asks, what's your wife like? Does she believe in God? And the guy says, yeah, she's religious. She goes to church every week. Then the old man tells him something that sticks. He says people who truly believe tend to live with this quiet happiness. Even if there's no clear reason, they just feel fulfilled. The younger guy then wonders why this man, who clearly knows so much, isn't working some high-paying job or teaching somewhere. Why live like this? And the old man simply says he's tired. After centuries of seeing it all, doing it all, he lost interest. He has no motivation to work, no drive to chase anything anymore. Every day is just another day. And even though he knows how old he truly is, every time he looks in the mirror, he still sees the same young face he's had for centuries. And that's honestly the saddest part. The young guy keeps questioning the old man, still not fully buying his story. But the old man doesn't argue anymore. He just tells him, look, I'm not going to try to convince you anymore. You can either believe me or think I'm crazy. That's up to you. Then he asks him, what have you done in your life that makes you think you deserve to live forever? You must have done something really special. But the man smiles and says, I didn't do anything special. I'm not unique. This isn't something I earned. It's just something God gave me, and I still don't know why. Maybe my only purpose is to spread faith. That's it. He starts telling the guy about the time during the war when he hid a Jewish family in his home, risking his life because the army would have executed him if they found out. The young man feels like those times must have been brutal, much harder than life now, but the old man disagrees. He believes life today is actually harder, more draining, because of how overwhelming everything is with technology everywhere you turn. Then the conversation takes a deeper turn. He starts talking about atheism, saying people who deny God think the universe runs on their own logic and control. But if they just stopped and paid attention, they'd realize that everything is moving by God's will. We're just humans following the path written for us. He tells the young man to think a little deeper, to open his mind, and walk the right path, so he can leave this life with peace, not regret. The young man keeps walking beside him, wondering, why is this guy even telling me all this? Why me? Why now? But the man admits he doesn't know either. He just feels like there's a strange connection between them. Then he asks him a powerful question. What would you do if you had the chance to live 1,000 years? That really hits him. He starts imagining, would he live like this guy? Would he become like him? Or would it all turn out completely different? The old man goes on, talking about historical figures, people who achieved so much in their lives, but still died feeling unsatisfied. Others died never even knowing what their purpose was in the first place. Now the young man is starting to believe. He asks, what should I do to please God? How do I know I'm on the right path? What if it's just the devil messing with my head? How can I be sure I'll make it to heaven and not end up in the wrong place? The old man gently gives him some advice. He says, to be on the right path, follow your heart, listen to God, and treat the people around you with kindness. Learn to tell the difference between good and evil. This life is short, just a journey. Don't carry it too heavily. Don't hurt anyone along the way. Every day I see people live, die, laugh, cry, and none of it shocks me anymore. Because I know the truth, this world is temporary. The real life begins after death, and every person chooses their own path, writes their own ending. Suddenly, the young man's phone rings again. His wife's finally arrived. He decides to introduce her to the old man, but she instantly mocks him. She looks at her husband like he's lost it, asking why on earth he wants to introduce her to some random homeless guy. But just then, he turns and freezes. Standing right there is another version of the same exact man. Identical. A copy. He's completely stunned. Nothing's making sense anymore. He hops into his car and drives off, staring at the man through the rearview mirror, still in total shock. And that's where our movie ends.